everybody, it's C.C. Chapman, .TV Advocate, and today I'm really excited because I get to talk to a good buddy of mine, Jason Falls. Jason, how's it going?
Great, CC. How are you?
I'm doing great. So why don't you got a new gig and you do a lot of things, but why don't you introduce yourself to the .TV community?
So, I am a writer by craft and a PR guy by trade, and I started working with companies on social media marketing in about 2005, 2006 at an advertising agency called Doe Anderson, which their claim to fame is basically the agency of record for Maker's Mark bourbon and have been for about 45 years. And so I got to work with some interesting brands, Maker's Mark, Humana, Optima Batteries, a couple of other interesting brands in there. And my job was basically, or it evolved into being the digital guy who brought social media digital marketing strategies to the table for folks. Spun that off, left the agency in 2009 to make Social Media Explorer my sort of industry thought leader blog, my actual company, and grew that into a digital marketing agency, which continues to grow today. And then most recently, I actually stepped away and let Nicole Kelly run Social Media Explorer because she's much more capable and aggressive to go after building that business. And I took over as Vice President for Digital Strategy for Cafe Press, which most people probably know is the place where you can go and get custom anything, T-shirts, coffee mugs, etc. And that's actually where I am today. That's the floor right behind me right there.
Cool. So the theme this month is we're talking about, SMB, small and medium-sized businesses. And so what do you think the role of online video is when it comes to a small to medium-sized business and they're figuring out their content strategy?
So the video, I think, is critically important for a portion of the small, medium business audience. And I think it's critically important for those early adopters who are thinking about doing video now because of one primary reason: your competition isn't doing it. More than likely. I think that's a blanket statement I can probably get away with.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be first to the punch within your market and against your competition if you can dive into online video. That's one thing. So being first has some, especially in search engines, has some legacy implications that you might want to consider. But the real big thing for video, and you're watching this now, you can read a blog post from C.C. Chapman or Jason Falls, or you can, just read a blog post, but it's just reading a blog post. Video puts a human face and personality and flavor on your brand that nothing else can do. And if you think about it, and this is a little counterintuitive, but think about the car dealers and the lawyers in your town. You know a couple of them because you see their television commercials. Now, you may not trust them because they get a little kooky with their ads, right? But I promise you, if you're ever hurt in an accident, you know who to call.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to buy a car, there's probably one car dealer in your town that does ridiculously stupid commercials that you'll think of at some point. So I don't want you to go ridiculous with your video unless you've got a great sense of humor and can and get away with it. But if you think about it, those are the businesses in your town that have a personality. There is a brand that's represented there. It might be by that person that's doing the television commercials. Like, for instance, here in Louisville, there's a lady named Sally Swope at one of the big car dealers, and she is kind of the spokesperson for the Swope Auto Group. And she's, a very attractive middle-aged woman, very professionally dressed. They don't do any crazy gimmicks. She just comes on and says, "Hey, we've got good deals for you, and here's what we're selling," and da-da-da. And you trust her, right?
Right.
It's a thing. And so I don't think you would be able, as a small or medium business, to immediately communicate trustworthiness in any other medium as effectively as you can with video.
So what do you think? I mean, let's face it, YouTube owns video. They're like the video site, and they're, Facebook and Twitter and all these other platforms. What do you, why is it still important? Well, and do you think it's still important for a small business to build an audience and build their own website on their own domain? I mean, what are your feelings on that?
Well, I think it is because you own it. You never want to put your eggs in somebody else's basket. And I have this conversation probably more focused on Facebook when I talk to people, small businesses especially, than I do YouTube or video platforms. But it applies here too. If you put all your eggs in Mark Zuckerberg's basket and Mark Zuckerberg decides tomorrow that in order for you to keep your brand page, you have to pay him $1,000 a day, well, guess what? He can do that.
Yeah.
Now he won't, because that'd be stupid. But the rules, as we all know, with Facebook change on a regular basis. And so why would you put all your eggs in someone else's basket? Facebook is a great place to engage with people. It's a great place to have conversations. It's a good connecting point. YouTube and Vimeo and other video platforms are great places to house your videos, because you're going to need some technology that you don't want to pay for, probably. And they're a good place if you want to get into that community and have conversations on that site. There's some merit to that for some people. There's also some people that you want to avoid that are probably hanging out in those comment areas. But I've always thought of it as I need the technology to host and play the videos, but I want to drive people to my website where that video is embedded, because that's where I can capture their attention. That's where I can lead them down a path to conversion, so on and so forth.
For sure. Now, I know there's going to be small and medium businesses watching this right now, and they're saying, okay, I agree, video is important, I get it, Jason knows what he's talking about. But how are they going to go back if it's not their own business? How are they going to justify the time and effort it takes to make video?
Well, first of all, I think the notion of the time and effort it takes to make video is a little bit of a misnomer.
I agree.
Because I can pull up my phone right now and do a video of me, and this is how I used to do interviews for my blog. When I would interview people, I'd run into C.C. at a show, and I'd pull out my little thing, and I'd do my camera, and I would hold it out at arm's length like this, and be like, "Hey, I'm Jason Falls, and I'm here talking to C.C. Chapman. Hey, C.C., how you doing?" And I would just do that, and it was real simple. And I took a little bit of time, invested a little bit of time in iMovie to create a little video bumper on the beginning, a title screen, and a little copyright screen on the back, and then I would just drop this in that donut and hit share and produce the video file. I mean, all told, once I had that first little donut thing set up in iMovie, producing a web video for me took about 15 minutes.
Right.
So I think there's a misnomer to that. Now, if you think you need to, and I don't think you always need to, but if you think you need to be highly professional, it's got to be edited, we got to have music, and you have to have lighting, and everything's got to be perfectly, and yeah, you can invest a crap ton of time in video. That's going to be a quality decision you're going to want to make. But I think, and I think there's lots of evidence and research out there to prove this, the videos that get the most traction, even in corporate website settings, are the ones that are raw, that are genuine, that are not staged, because they're more honest, right?
For sure.
They're just raw. You're going to believe and trust me doing this with my phone a hell of a lot more than you're going to believe some slick production. Even though there might be a reason to use a slick production at some point, this is much more trustworthy. Just take the video and throw that thing up. And there's actually, while we're at it, there's an app called Pitch, P-T-C-H. It's this little orange booger right there.
Well, I haven't used that. What's that all about?
So that, I just tried this the other day, and my friends here at the University of Louisville in the athletic department introduced it to me. And so Pitch, basically, you can take video, and then you can incorporate photos from your camera, and it'll allow you on your phone to produce a little slideshow narrative thing that you upload to their website, and then you can embed. So you can do some nice little integrating media in mediums. So pictures.
That's awesome.
You can do fonts over it and stuff. It's pretty cool. I've played with it a little bit, but
and that's the thing too. I mean, this interview, all we're doing is we're on Skype, and I'm using a program called Call Recorder. You just hit one button and go record, and it's magically doing the split screen that you're watching. And yeah, I'll throw some, like you said, I like your use of the donut. I'll throw some tops and tails, the beginning and the end of this, but that's all I'm gonna do. It's iMovie. The longest, it's gonna take me longer to render it out than it is to actually make it.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever spent more time creating the content than I have having the computer actually churn on actually spitting out the file.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That's gotten a lot better. I remember back when I first started doing video for my website back in like 04, 05, and some of the render times I was using. I don't even remember what software I was using back then. Sony Vega.
Oh God, yeah. And you set it to go before night is what I used to do. Then I go to bed and wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I'd wake up in the morning to go to work, and it would still be running. Oh my God! So now the processor speeds and whatnot have gotten so much better that you're not going to feel like you're wasting a lot of time. But yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated, and you can produce really good, trustworthy, quality communications for your audience without having to spend a ton of money.
So tell us about, you wrote a great book, and I mean that. I mean, we're friends, but I like your book, No Bullshit Social Media, the all business, no hype guide to social media marketing. I had to write down the whole title so I'd get it. But I mean, and I know the title scares some people, you know, it's got a naughty word in it, but I love the premise of the book because I think it, you know, explain what your book's about.
So the title is catchy and it gets your attention, but it really is kind of a no BS look at social media marketing, and it's probably most appropriate for medium and small businesses. And basically, what Eric Deckers, my co-author, and I did was we said, look, in order to be successful in social media marketing as a business, you have to approach it strategically. And so why are people not approaching social media strategically? And it's probably because they don't first understand what the possibilities are. What can social media do for you? And then once you know what, and so we go through those possibilities. We call them the 7 business drivers of social media marketing. And they are, I'm not going to list them off for you, but they're things like driving sales and revenue, building community, customer service, da-da-da-da. So there's 7 of them, and we go through, there's a chapter on each one of them where we give you case studies and examples, but we explain to you how you can use social media for this particular business driver. So once you get through the book, you understand what the possibilities are. Then you have to decide which of those 7 you want to use for your business.
Right.
So maybe you want to focus on sales. Maybe you want to also incorporate customer service. Whatever your sort of gaps, your needs are in your either online world or your marketing life overall, how can you use social to fill that gap? And so it's basically, if you had to whittle it down to the elevator speech or even, you know, just the from here to the door speech on what it is a blueprint for social media strategy. It sort of walks you through how to develop one, how to be smart about using social media, how to measure it, how to understand the ROI and all that good stuff. But we try to take away the hype. We try to take away the BS around it. This is not just about holding hands in a circle with your fans and singing Kumbaya around the campfire. It's about driving business. And I think business owners will appreciate the book.
Cool. So I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but any small businesses come to mind that you think are using video effectively lately?
That are using video effectively.
I know it's tough, right? I mean, that's why you were saying there's huge opportunities in the video.
Yeah, it is tough. I think, quite frankly, small businesses, this doesn't count as a small business, I don't think, but this is an example that I think people can understand. And CC, you and I had the opportunity to meet the fine senator from Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Chris
Coons?
Chris Coons, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And so he's a senator from Delaware, and so he takes the train from Wilmington or Dover or wherever he lives to Washington to report in.
Yeah.
And while he's on the train, he pulls open his laptop and he sees a question from a constituent, and he pulls open his video and he answers the question.
Yeah.
He does like 3 or 4 of them and then posts those answers to his blog so everybody can see the answers. That is an incredibly powerful, honest, open, transparent, and trust-building way to connect with your audience. So if you're a small business owner, let's take a crazy one. Let's say you own a gun store. And I don't mean crazy in the cuckoo crazy, just a little off the bat. Please don't shoot me. So let's say you own a gun store. So what you do is let's say you get a question from a customer in the store that day. Jot it down on a Post-it note, or maybe you get emails or something, or maybe you have a website and a contact form. So you get a question from a customer. Well, there's more than likely that question is going to be a question that other customers have. So sit down at the end of the day for 5 minutes before you close down the shop and go home. Open up your laptop, turn on the webcam, look into the thing and say, hey, we had a customer ask us a question today and it was this. And so here's the answer for any of you that want to know. If you're trying to, double load a 44 caliber something, I don't know anything about guns. This is how you do it, right? And you can even pull the gun back and say, and then press stop on the video and upload it to your Facebook page. Done. You're using video probably in a pretty compelling manner.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, answering questions is one of the easiest. Doesn't matter if it's video or written. I mean, content creation. Whenever someone says, "Well, I have nothing to talk about," you can always answer your customers' questions.
I'll give you another really cool example. This is more of a medium to large example, but it's a really powerful sort of. This is how you can use content, and this is less video, although it certainly can be video. Although scaling this would be a little crazy. I talked to a friend of mine one time at a software company, and he had a client who was a tire manufacturer, right? And so they made tires. And he had a sales team of, let's say, 15 or 20 people, and they called on all these auto parts stores around the country saying, hey, would you like to buy tires, or whatever they do? I don't know what they do. And so he was saying, well, all these ideas about content and blogging and all, that's a great, but I don't have content. I don't know what am I going to put on a blog, man? I don't blog. And so my friend, the software company guy, said, how many salespeople do you have? He said, 15. He said, do they ever have their customers or vendors or whatnot ask them questions? And he said, yeah, they probably answer 10, 15 questions a day via email. And he's like, wait, 10, 15 questions like overall, or 10, 15 questions each? And he said, 10, 15 questions each. I mean, they spend a lot of time answering questions on email. He said, okay, so you got 15 people, you got 15 questions a day. That's 225 pieces of content every day.
Yep.
Put on your website.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's there.
Forget about it. So, all right, I've taken a lot of your time, but one last thing. What's your last tip for that small to medium business looking to get started with video?
I think the biggest tip is just start. Just do it. Stop putting it off. Pull out your phone, record a video, upload it to your Facebook page, but then, go a little further, get the .tv domain, get your web channel up there, use YouTube or whatever to embed all that stuff, and get a little fancier with it. If you just start with a simple execution and throwing it up to Facebook or linking to a YouTube channel or whatever, start there. I promise you, in 3 or 4 months, if you keep doing it, you'll have like this super deluxe web channel, dedicated domain, audience building, all that kind of stuff. You'll get into it because it's fun, and you get feedback, and you start to say, "Wow, people are paying attention to me." The best advice is start, because once you start, you'll find yourself not wanting to stop.
I agree. Well, Jason, thank you very much for your time today. I'm sure the audience really appreciated it.
Oh, glad to do it, dude.
And to everybody watching, literally, if you're stuck on how to start getting with your video, look up there. There's a how-to section. Yeah, it's right there. It really is. There's a how-to section with all kinds of videos and posts about how to get started with video and take it to the next level. So you've been watching Watch.tv. Thanks.